border standoff at the LSC, it has continued into 2021, like 2020, and just recently we are hearing news about a clash even in Nakula in Sikkim. But more broadly, when it comes to China, how do you think we can meet this challenge of China? I mean, both in terms of, a short term but also long term.
Kamal, I'll just tell you this entire Chinese thing. No, I think it's highly overrated. First of all, China has never won a war in the last 50 years. Okay, the last war it won was against India in 1962. China has never won a war. Vietnam thrashed China very badly in 1979. So this entire halla gulla about China being a military superpower, that's all fake. All right. Yes, it is an economic superpower. Okay, but when you talk about fighting in mountains, all right, you can't beat the Indian soldier in the mountains simply because he's been there for very long. He has a certain kind of commitment, which the Chinese soldier comes for 3-4 years and he goes away. He has no commitment to his regiment, to his country. He's there because he's been asked to be there. He's possibly a single child. He's been pampered silly by his parents and his grandparents. He's like a quote unquote prince in the house. Our soldiers are far, far, far tougher. And in this age of AI, in this age of satellites, in this age of 5G, nothing matters in the mountains. It's funny, but when you're at 16,000 feet and above, fighting at some height in East Ladakh, you see all these things disappear. What matters is blood and guts. It's East Ladakh is an infantry battle. Okay. Finally, the infantrymen will decide the outcome of East Ladakh, or whether it's Sikkim or any other place. It is the infantryman, it is the man with the rifle, the Indian soldier, he will decide the outcome. And let me tell you, the Chinese are no match. The problem is that in the larger strategic, this thing about the Chinese, you said the long term, short term, what the Chinese have done is they've used their checkbook very effectively, right? So you have the Hanmantota port, and you have the Gwadar port in Pakistan, and you have the String of Pearls, South China Sea, and everything like that coming up and going up. Even in Africa, they have significant investments in Africa. But today, the world is waking up to the fact that Chinese are essentially, the famous character out of Shakespeare's plays, Shylock. That is China for you. That is China for you. It is a predatory power. It is not. China is not a force for good. It's a force for evil. And that is what China is. Like China has geographical borders with 14 countries, right? But it has boundary disputes with 22 or 23 countries. How can that even happen? How can India have a border dispute with Kazakhstan? But had China been here, they would have had a border dispute with Kazakhstan as well. Because we have a border with Pakistan, who has a border with Afghanistan, which has a border with Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan or one of the Istans there. All right. But had it been China here, China would have had a border dispute. So they're predatory in nature. That's number one. Number two, China today in East Ladakh, at least, it is looking for, they say face. In the Orient, there is this huge thing about, saving face. Somebody has face, somebody does not have face. It's a matter of honor. China is looking for an honorable exit. China was thinking whether Trump would come back again or not. And China assumed, and to some extent rightly so, that if Trump came in for a second term, what would Trump's policies be against China? Also, if you have the US saying that, okay, our new focus is going to be China, even under the Joe Biden dispensation, right? A new focus is going to be China. And why not? It has to be. Then China needs to come out and make a statement in front of the world. China feels that India is being propped up by the Western powers, especially America, to take on China. So if you quote unquote, sort out India, it takes the wind out of the Quad. It takes the wind out of the foreign powers saying that, okay, you were depending a lot on India and now see where India is. We have taught India a lesson. Now, what happened was that today, China is stuck between the devil and the deep sea. They thought that the Indian army would be a walkover. We'll come, we'll threaten the Indian army, we'll slap a few guys and they'll apologize and they'll get afraid and, they'll become afraid and they'll get scared and they'll take a walk back and we'll say, okay, this is China. China never counted for those 40 odd dead bodies of the PLA soldiers in Galwan. They were not prepared for the ferocity of the Indian army's response. And we said that we don't covet your territory. This was the message from the army chief. We don't covet any country's territory, but please, for heaven's sake, don't think that you can come here and take an inch of Indian land. That's not going to happen. And that is when all these, I don't want to mention politicians because this is a strategic affairs dialogue, a geopolitical dialogue, and it doesn't do well for me to mention political parties, but any politician who says that, these many kilometers of Indian land has been, it's not going to happen. Please understand, forget about the BJP or any other political party being in power, right? If directions have been given to the Indian army, that this is your territory and you will defend it, there is no way these orders are going to ever be violated. You see, even in 1962, the war that we lost against China, there was no withdrawal from the Indian army. People died where they fought. Entire companies, my own regiment fought the Battle of Rizangla. The entire company was wiped out. There was no question of surrender. They don't teach you surrender in the Indian army. Now the Chinese, the older generation knew this. The younger guys are forgotten. The Facebook ki generation, China ki, whatever passes off as Facebook in China, Weibo, Shibo, social media generation of China, they're softies. They came up against the Indian army and then they realized that, this is a different animal altogether. So this is what is happening in Ladakh. China is looking for a way out. China is looking for a face saving so that they can quietly exit. And anyway, their population doesn't ask too many questions. But the world's attention is focused on East Ladakh. And this is what, China's got stuck. It's like, in Hindi, they say gale ki haddi. If you know what that means. It's like a bone stuck in the Indian army. The Indian army is a bone stuck in China's throat. Now, China doesn't know what to do with it. It doesn't know what to make out of the Indian army. And that is China's problem in East Ladakh today.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.